Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are at the 4th annual Linux Peter conference in St. Petersburg. My name is Vasily Tolstoy. I am a member of programming committee of the conference, and together with me is Mr. Ioannis, which is different for me to read while I even rehearsed it.
I can say my name actually. My name is Ioannis Glaropoulos. Some more introduction is needed, or?
It's easy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I understand that you have just given your talk at the conference.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you tell us in a few words what it was about?
Right. So the talk was about designing a trust execution environment in the Zephyr operating system. Unlike most of the other talks in this conference, it was about Zephyr. It was not about Linux. It was about using the trust zone hardware in Zephyr operating system for ARM microprocessors in order to design applications in Zephyr that support trust execution.
So the what is interesting to know is that why actually Zephyr? Why the? I understand. Let's have a step back. I understand that you work for Nordic Semiconductor.
Yeah.
And why Nordic Semiconductor choose? As I understand, it's no your personal interest; it's a company thing. So the Zephyr is accepted in a sense by the Nordic Semiconductor in certain products. Why Nordic choose the Zephyr and not something else? For example, not something proprietary.
So in Nordic, we like open source. We actually love open source. Let's say that we are experimenting with Zephyr because we believe that it's going to have a bright future. So we have invested some resources on Zephyr. We don't release products on Zephyr yet, but we are investing on Zephyr because we believe that at some point it might be a successful operating system for embedded devices.
And as people are not not everybody understands what Zephyr is actually, and to put it into perspective and make it an easy, well, not easy to answer probably, but easy to ask question. What is the main difference between the Linux, which comes in different flavors, in the embedded also, and the real-time Linux also exists, between Linux and Zephyr? What's the main difference between them?
So I would say scaling is the big difference. So Zephyr is designed in a way that it can really scale down to run in devices with very little resources, devices with very little processing power, with even a few tenths of kilobytes of RAM and flash. It can scale it down, it's highly configurable. It targets really the low-end level of devices when it comes to internet-connected things. So this is where we actually differentiate by Linux. So it's called as the small Linux, was the young brother of Linux actually, because we inherit a few things from the Linux architecture. Zephyr supports kernel with threads, multi-threading, scheduling. It has concepts like Linux of user space and user mode, and privileged execution and privileged execution. However, it really targets the devices that have like really small memory and processing footprints. So this is where we actually differentiate from Linux.
It couldn't be only the good things. And what Zephyr lacks? It should lack something.
Yeah, right. I was not prepared for this question actually. So Zephyr is really on an early stage. Linux has been developed for decades. There is no question of actually comparing them back side by side. Zephyr is a project of 2-3 years at the moment.
Oh, that's fresh.
So, yeah, it's really fresh. And it lacks a lot of things. It lacks maturity of code. It lacks being backed up by a big set of developers. We do have a lot of contributors comparing to our other embedded artists, but we still are not in the level that we can say that we have all the momentum and all the all the resources to really fix all the bugs and creating stable release of the system. But we're working towards this way. It's backed by companies, big silicon vendors. It's backed by the community. The process has been welcomed by the community. What we are proud of is a nice, open, transparent development model where the contributions come from the community is well appreciated. So we believe that if we keep this momentum, there will be a bright future for Zephyr.
Nice. And speaking about the company, probably I should have asked this at the beginning. Not everybody, as with the Zephyr, knows a lot about Nordic Semiconductor. Mm-hmm. The silicon companies are not that popular, not on the first pages of the newspaper. You take newspapers as the software companies, which are like a fad of last couple of decades. What Nordic does, actually?
Right.
What it's it's too big a question. What it's the most interesting thing it does, or most popular things?
So Nordic is a small semiconductor company. We're still below 1,000 employees, but we are still the market leader in Bluetooth Low Energy SoC solutions. So we make SoCs for wireless connectivity, mostly on the 2.4 gigahertz. We are well known in the Bluetooth Low Energy community. We have been making Bluetooth Low Energy SoC solutions for more than 6-7 years now, even more. We have also recently started expanding our offering into connectivity solutions for other technologies. We have Thread, we have Zigbee. We're going to have cellular IoT. So we're seeing ourselves as IoT enablers. We're happy to see our products, our SoCs, embedded into a lot of IoT products in the whole spectrum of IoT use case ecosystem. And we believe that with the expansion of IoT and with the expansion of Bluetooth and the other technologies, Nordic will become also a bigger player in the semiconductor industry.
Mm-hmm. And can you name an example of device which probably is the most popular, which one can crack and see inside the piece of Nordic Semiconductor?
Oh, there should be many.
Well, just an example.
Should I say the name of the companies, or is it like
the whatever like? You can find our product in.
I would say that if you take a wireless Bluetooth keyboard or mouse and crack it down, I don't recommend that you should do it, but if you want to do it, if you have a kind of old one and you want to crack this down, a mouse or a keyboard, it's highly likely, there is a high probability that the SoC providing Bluetooth connectivity there is, or wireless connectivity actually in general, there is a Nordic device.
Actually, I have personally seen a cracked thing with the system on chip of Nordic Semiconductor inside. It was the electronic price tag. And the funny thing is that, if I understand correctly, it holds inside the whole operation system with the internet, HTTP, and the named Bluetooth and the whatnot, and they transfer the lithium battery for years, something like that.
It's possible. So in Nordic, we're proud that our SoCs are low power. Our Bluetooth connectivity libraries are also processing efficient. So if someone takes these products and use them in a nice way, yes, they can make SoC and Nordic-based solutions that can last for years.
Great. So if one needs to glue a Zephyr system with the internet, Bluetooth, and whatever you can think about to a matchbox, for your sugar bowl, whatever, the simple thing with a lithium battery, which can be your information center, you can pick a Nordic chip. It's a great new world. I still don't believe how small thing can be the complete computer nowadays. Speaking about the future and the events and so on, what do you think? What most interesting thing had happened to last year in the technical world, or in open source world, maybe specifically in Linux world?
Okay, we should say that Zephyr is an interesting thing. Expansion of Zephyr to a bigger project with more members and more contributors. It's one of the in my opinion, one of the greatest things that happened in the open source embedded software.
And you see,
I don't like to speak too much about myself and Zephyr, but I'm quite enthusiastic about that.
I see that you really like Zephyr. So my next question, which is probably my last question, would be like a shameless help to you to promote Zephyr. But still, for example, if you would be a young, fresh programmer who is thinking of contributing to open source and wants to choose a project to start from, where one can understand what's going on and still make something useful, but still it should be interesting, which project would you recommend?
Oh, there are lots of open source projects that young, enthusiastic open source developers can contribute. I mean, there are lots of them. I mean, I don't even know where to start from. And actually, I don't want to give biased answers here, but we are biased about Zephyr. We believe that young developers, that they want to work on open source technologies for embedded systems, even within the Zephyr project, they can find lots of things to work with.
Great. So, if you, ladies and gentlemen, didn't understand it to this point, I'd like to reiterate that everything interesting in the world happens in Zephyr. Zephyr runs on everything, requires no power, it's Linux just better, and Nordic Semiconductor makes everything for you to run Zephyr on. That's it.
That's not exactly.
Well. Don't be so shy. I understood the subliminal message.
Yeah. Let's say that the message is that Nordic would like to promote Zephyr as a solution because we believe that in the future it can be the operating system for embedded devices of low power. But that, of course, remains to be seen.
Okay. It's a nice thing that everything changes. It makes the world a nice place to live when something interesting happens all the time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.